Today on Ask Miyazaki, we talk about social media platforms that copy other platforms, the best ways to build consumer trust, and how college students can get more relevant expertise on their resumes. If you haven't already subscribed, do it. Jessica asks, what are your thoughts on social media platforms updating and having similar features to competitors, such as Instagram Reels and Twitter Fleets? Jessica, I think this is the tip of the iceberg in what we're going to see over the next few years, that more and more of these social media platforms are going to start to copy the features of other platforms because it's the only way that they can grow. Now, when you think about it, when these platforms were first developed, they were developed with pretty unique set of features. And that's why even today, we feel that these platforms are very different. When you think about Facebook versus Instagram versus Twitter or Snapchat or YouTube or Pinterest, they all seem and they all feel different. But now they're starting to blend together a little bit. And there's some reasons for this. So to understand this, let's think about how social media platforms typically have grown and how they can grow in the future. So the first way that they've grown is by getting new subscribers. And that used to be easy, but now more and more people are on social. So it used to be that you could just say, well, come to social. And the social platform that they came to might have been Twitter. It might have been Instagram. It might have been Facebook or YouTube. But now that more people are on multiple platforms, it's harder and harder to find people who aren't on any platform or who have to try out a new platform. Well, the next way to get people to grow is by getting users, the current users, to consume more. And that also worked for quite a while. We were able to get people to use Facebook more, or Instagram more, or Snapchat more, or Pinterest more. But now people have reached some level of capacity. There's a study out there that says that people on average are spending around 7 hours per day on social media. That's a lot of time. And so what happens then is that people don't have the capacity anymore, the time capacity, to start to put more time in general over across all these social media channels. That means that the only way to grow now is to steal the clients or the consumers from other platforms. And how to steal? You copy what works. So in this particular case, if something seems to be working, you copy it. Twitter, for example, with Twitter Fleets. You mentioned Twitter Fleets. And for those people who don't know what Twitter Fleets is, a fleet is a tweet that actually disappears after 24 hours. And so that it doesn't appear anymore. And so it just kind of vanishes. And so it's kind of a weird name, but the idea of fleet was because it's fleeting and it doesn't last. It's also a kind of a weird name when you think about it because Fleet is also the brand for a laxative kind of thing. You can look it up. But anyway, Twitter did this. Why do this? Because it was working with other platforms and they felt like they needed something like that to be able to work as well. But it's not that simple. There's more to which particular features you want to steal, because stealing the features that elicit feelings of FOMO, of fear of missing out, that's the type of feature that is going to get people to come back and come back more often. So think about a social media platform feature that allows viewers to view the material a day or two later or a week later. They can go back and they can take a look at those things. Because of that, then people they feel very comfortable missing a day or two or even a week and knowing that they can go back on social media and they can catch up on all the things that they missed. But if the feature erases the content after a certain period of time, that's when they get you, right? That's when not only are they fighting for your business, but they're trying to manipulate you a little bit, right? They're trying to get you to feel that you need to log on not just every now and then, but you need to make sure that you log on every single day so that you don't miss that. Because what happens is if you feel like there's content out there, whether it's from your friends or whether it's from business leaders that you follow or celebrities, whatever it is, if there are people that you feel like you need to be able to see what they're saying and you feel like you're going to miss out if you don't, then you're going to log in every day. Every day, every night before you go to bed, every morning when you wake up, you are going to check that particular social media platform. So at that particular point, you feel not just a desire, but you almost feel this need to check your social media and to spend more time on there. And that is exactly where they want you to be. Samantha asks, what is the best way to build a relationship and trust with consumers? How can you make them feel like they're being heard? Samantha, I'm glad you asked these two questions together, because in order to build trust with consumers, you have to first be able to listen to them and have that communication there. So let's talk about the communication, the second question. Let's talk about that first. To help your clients or customers or consumers feel like they're being heard, there are a couple steps that you have to take. First, marketers need to listen, but they need to listen carefully. They have to make sure that they pay attention to not just what the customer is saying, but to what the customer is doing, and try to understand what are the issues or the concerns, the problems or the obstacles that the customer is facing, and why does the customer care about those particular obstacles being overcome. So when the marketer, when the brand listens, they also have to listen with intent, with sincere intent. And the intent is that they're trying to figure out how to find a solution and then present that solution to the client. So it's not enough just to listen and to figure out what's wrong, but you want to figure out what's wrong with the intention of trying to figure out how you can solve a solution for the customer. But that's not enough. After you even deliver the solution, you still have to go back and communicate what you're doing to that particular customer or client. What you want to do is tell them, listen, we listened to you, and that's why we're delivering this particular solution. A lot of times we feel that we walk into a store or to a restaurant or to wherever it is, we order something online, and we don't really feel like they know what our needs are. We just saw something, we bought it, and now we're satisfied. But if for some reason someone provided us a service and they communicated to us and said, listen, the reason why we're providing the service to you in this particular way is because we listened to what your needs were, and now we're responding to what those needs are. Once we feel that we've been listened to, that's going to go a long way in making us not just feel good, but to also to build that trust. So now let's get on to that first question that you asked, how to build trust. Number one, we've got to be honest as marketers or again, as retailers, as manufacturers, as these brands, they have to be honest in all that they do. They have to focus not just on giving information, but giving the accurate information and giving as much information that the client needs in order to make a reasonable decision. Also, they have to focus on serving that client or customer or consumer rather than just focus on the sale, right? In other words, they have to make sure that they're taking care of what the client needs. Now, even if it's the point of finding someone else that can actually provide that service. In other words, it's better for us to lose a client to a competitor than it is for us to take care of that client, but not really serve them because our product doesn't match them. In my industry, in the education industry, we have this happen all the time, where we have someone that comes in and thinks that they want a particular program, but then it turns out that they really don't want what's in that program. That program's not right for them. And so instead, we recommend them to another program, obviously within our same institution. But there are times when even in our institution, we don't have what we need in order to give that customer, that potential student, what they want. And in that case, it's okay that they find something else because it's better that their needs are satisfied than just that we get one more person in a seat. The other thing you have to do is be authentic. And by authentic, what I mean is you have to be able to represent your brand, whether it's a corporate brand or even a personal brand, as to what it actually is. In other words, don't try to pretend that you're something that you're not. At some point, this works for a while, but then at some point, the buyers figure it out. And when they figure that out, then there's not just is there not trust, but there's distrust. And they just at that point aren't going to trust anything you say in the future. In the long run, remember, an authentic brand that serves its audiences is much more likely to be trusted than a brand that is inauthentic and serves only itself. Mitch asks, Companies are often requiring much more experience for an entry-level position than a recent grad has on their resume. What should a soon-to-be grad focus on in order to give them an edge in the workplace? Mitch, this has been a big problem for college students for decades. But more recently, it's become an even bigger problem because when there's economic hardship, it becomes even more difficult for students to find experience in their areas of study. So here are some tips that are going to help all students to find not just more experience for their resumes, but to find better and more relevant experience. Number one, every student in their freshman year needs to check in with their career services at their particular campus, at their university or college. And when I say check in, I don't mean just check in once. They've got to check in multiple times. I would say every single week. Get those people to know who you are and keep on checking in until you find what you're looking for. That might be a job, it might be an internship, but the idea is to go back over and over again and make this building of experience a priority. And even after you found that job or internship, still go back and check in more because you might be able to find something else later on. So number one, check in with career services. Number two, get internships. And when I say internships, I mean plural, more than one. Don't just get satisfied with one internship that semester before you graduate. It's got to be something where you get in there early, you find the internship that you're looking for that's going to be either in your field or maybe it's not necessarily directly in your field, but it's helping you to build the types of characteristics and traits and skills that are important to the people in your field. So a little bit of research is going to go a long way there. So you get the internships, hopefully 15 to 20 hours a week. If you can't do the 15 to 20 hours a week, because let's say that you're already working a job that pays pretty well, maybe you're working part-time and you can't really do the 15 or 20 extra along with school, so maybe you only do 10 hours a week. There are a lot of different internships out there, and most employers are willing to work with someone to get that experience and expertise. Hopefully it's a paid internship, but even unpaid are worthwhile. Now, there are some people that are going to come back and say, hey, look, Anthony, I can't really do an internship because I'm working 40 hours a week. I've got, a family, whatever else, and I've got school, and I really just don't have the time to even spend another 10 hours a week. In this case, go to your employer and talk to them and say, look, I'm in school. I'm studying this particular field. Is there something I can do here at work where I can start to get some relevant experiences that are going to help me in the classroom? And some universities will even give you an internship for a place you're already working at if the work that you're doing is related to that particular subject. So I would say that's to be number 3 is take a look at that and try to find a way to get your job to actually give you that relevant work experience. Number 4, if those don't work out, or even if they do, check out campus organizations. Find a campus organization where you can be part of it and volunteer your time and find a role within that organization where you can do something. If you're into communications, do some communication work there. If you're into the accounting side, then take care of the finances for that organization. The idea is to use those organizations as a way to add something to your resume without necessarily having to go out there and find an internship or find a job. Finally, even after you've done all this, you need to take all those experiences and build them into relevant successes. And what I mean by relevant successes means that you have to focus on building the type of success that's going to be important for you. So it's not just a matter of having the internship or having the job or having that volunteer work. It's having the types of experiences and successes. In fact, I've got a YouTube video on that. I'll put a link to that video that focuses on how to build relevant successes to build your personal brand. So with all that, now you need to publicize your expertise. And what I mean by this is go on to LinkedIn, write some articles on LinkedIn that talk about what you know. You don't have to know everything in the world to be able to use LinkedIn as a great tool to communicate to your audiences about what you do. And the reason why I mentioned LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is extremely employment oriented. So the same people that are checking your resume are also checking LinkedIn. And when they check LinkedIn, they notice that you've written a couple articles on that subject matter. They start to feel really comfortable that you know what you're talking about. Another great thing to do is build a website. And even if you've never built a website before, it doesn't matter. To learn WordPress or to use Wix or something else, you can do this. It'll take a little bit of research. It'll take a little bit of time, but it's worthwhile to build that. Now, Mitch, the person who asked this question, Mitch, I saw on your Twitter bio that you have a website. You put your website on there, knowmitch.com. I checked out the website. The website's great. This is the idea. And if you guys want a great example, go to Mitch's website and take a look at it and look around there. The idea is to show people what you have. And that actually works more than just one way. Not only does it show your potential employers that, what you have as far as your expertise, but it also shows them that you have initiative, that you take initiative, and that you've actually done this work. So, to recap, number 1, become buddies with the people at Career Services. Make sure that you know them and that they know you. Number 2, get internships, plural, as much as you can. Number 3, if you can get paid work, that's good, do it. But if you're already busy at work and you can't switch out of that job, then ask your current employer to provide you with experiences that are relevant to your career path. Number 4, volunteer with campus organizations. The more you volunteer, the more you get that experience. That goes on your resume as well. Then be sure to build successes that are relevant to your brand and to your brand narrative. And then publicize your expertise via LinkedIn and or a website. Remember that when it comes to your career, your effort will pay off in the future. Just stick with it and remember that persistence will make a difference. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for the questions. I always appreciate them. If you have questions about marketing or branding or communications or success or motivation or self-improvement or anything related, tweet them using the hashtag #AskMiyazaki. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe so that you can get future episodes of Ask Miyazaki as well as Marketing Minute and other videos about how to become better in your job, better at marketing, better at branding, and better in life. And have a great day.